Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods. Wanted to make kind of a special, different type of video for you guys today because something has popped up with Aaron and I's vehicles, and just something that I want to talk about and educate you guys a little bit on. If you're buying a new vehicle, what should you do? Should you pay cash? Should you purchase it? Or should you lease it? So let's talk about that and find out which one is better for you. All right, so if you can believe it or not, Aaron and I's leases are almost coming due. We only got a few months left. It's crazy that we've had my 2500 Dodge Ram and Aaron's Jeep Grand Cherokee for almost 3 years now. That's insane. And Aaron and I originally leased both of these cars. So the lease is coming due and we need to find out what we want to do with them. So with a lease, you have 3 options basically, or maybe even 4. You can either keep the vehicle, which means you need to pay off the residual price. Now, what's the residual price? That is what the leasing company says that vehicle would have been worth in 3 years time frame with however many mileage you purchased for when you got the lease, and how much it's going to be worth at that said time. So for our vehicles, we got 10,000 miles per year. We've had each vehicle for 3 years. The leasing company says that that car is going to be worth that much money. So you need to sign on the dotted line, and when it comes due, you need to give us the check for that amount and you can have your lease. A second way is that you just don't want the vehicle anymore and you're just gonna turn it back into the dealership and say, here's the keys, I'm turning in my lease. And they're gonna go over it and make sure that your tires are within okay amount. There's not ginormous holes and cigarette burns in the seats, and they're gonna go over it and to make sure that nothing is wrong. But people are always under the misconception that you can't basically touch a leased vehicle, and if you do, they're gonna charge you so much money for it. And that's just basically not true. They tell you how much tire depth you can have for how worn your tires are. If you do have a scratch on your vehicle, it's usually pretty good that you can put a scratch on it. Like, I think it's up to like 2 inches in diameter. If it's under that, then it's okay. If it's over that, then they charge you for it. If there's like a cigarette burn in the seat, I think it does have to be under the size of a cigarette burn. It can't be like, you know, a 1-inch burn. It's got to be, you know, like the head of a pencil or the eraser of a pencil size burn. So there is a lot of leeway that you're not going to get charged, not even $1, because you met all of those stipulations that you were under. So don't freak out if you get a lease and you're like, oh my God, I can't mess it up, I can't scratch it or else. It's just simply not true. They give you a piece of paper and a packet brochure that you can see what dents look like, what scratches look like, what tears look like, what your brake rotors have to look like, and your tires, etc. And again, it's usually pretty lenient. Within 3 years and 30,000 miles, guaranteed, as long as you took care of the vehicle, you're not going to get charged a single dime. And let's not forget, whether you leased it or purchased it, if you're trying to sell that vehicle at said time frame, if your tires are worn out, you've got dings, dents, and scratches, etc., it's still on you to go ahead and replace them. So it doesn't really matter whether you're turning in it or not. Someone's going to be purchasing that car, or a dealership's going to be taking that car in on trade, etc. If you've got no tires on it, you're either going to get less for your car, or you need to purchase new tires anyway to put them on there so that when you go to turn it in or go to sell it, someone can look and be like, sweet, I don't have to do any maintenance to it. But again, that residual value is what they based a 3-year-old car with 30,000 miles that it's going to be worth. So you would have to just basically go to a bank and say, I need a check for $25,000. The only other thing that it's going to add a little bit more onto is when you lease a vehicle, you only end up paying taxes on the amount that you've leased it for. So you've only paid taxes on 3 years. You need to pay the additional amount of taxes that, let's say you bought a car for 40 grand. The lease was, say, I don't know, $15,000. You've only paid taxes on $15,000. You need to pay the taxes from the 15 up to the 40. So you won't be getting a residual amount for 20 grand. It's going to be the 20 grand plus the taxes, and that's going to be your new monthly payment. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is that when you lease a vehicle, the vehicle is still yours. People always say you can't do anything to a lease because it's not yours. Well, a lease is not your vehicle just as much as you purchasing a vehicle is not your vehicle. The leasing company owns the title or the bank owns the title. So either way, it's technically still not your car, but there's nothing that says that you can't do anything to that car. If you want to turn a leased car or a purchased car into a freaking drag car and strip it and gut it and put a roll cage in it, you can. There's nothing that they can say that will stop you from doing that because it's still your car. They own the title, but it's still your car. The leasing company or the bank can't just show up to your property one day and say, hey, you turned that into a drag car. You no longer have a loan on that vehicle. You need to pay it off or we're taking it back. They can't do that. You signed on the car and you say that it's your vehicle because at any point in time, you can go to the bank and take out cash, or you can go to another bank and you can take out a loan on it. So again, if it's leased and they don't let you do anything to it, what are they gonna do? They can't stop me from going to a bank and saying, how much do I owe on that lease? Okay, I still owe $35,000. Well, here, leasing company, here's $35,000. It's my car now. You can't have it back. There's nothing that they can do to stop you because again, it's still your car. So mod it as you will, do what you want with it as you will, because again, you don't have to turn that back into the leasing company when the time comes due. You can again, keep it yourself. You can turn it back in, or you can go ahead and trade it in as a used car purchase, or you can sell it to Joe Schmo on the street. You have 4 different options at Come Lease End that makes it still your car, that you can do with it what you will, and there's nothing that they can say to stop you. Now, the biggest argument that people have about leased vehicles, again, they're worried about all the fees and stuff. They're worried about being charged for mileage. Well, the reason why I don't worry about mileages and stuff is because if you have a leased vehicle and you've had it for 3 years and you've gone 10,000 miles over on the lease, what does it matter really? Because usually with a leased vehicle, you pay less per month to have this vehicle than if somebody were to purchase it. So if we do a little bit of math here and figure out, let's say we had a vehicle that was $38,000 when it was new, or let's say it was $40,000 and we got a $2,000 discount. So we've got a $38,000 vehicle and you purchase it and I lease it. Well, at $38,000 for you, you've got to add your sales tax on, etc. So let's say in the end, you end up having a car out the door for $40,660. That's going to generate a monthly payment. Well, how much monthly payment can you afford? Well, in this day and age, if you take out $40,000 for 5 years at 5%, you're gonna have a $767 a month payment. And again, you can afford that, so it's no big deal. Almost $800 a month, it is what it is. Typically, again, a leased vehicle is less than the purchase, and sometimes damn near 50%. So let's say you're paying $800 a month for your vehicle, but I'm paying the exact same vehicle and I'm only paying $400 a month. So the reason why I say mileage doesn't really matter, at the end of the leasing term, you will have paid over $28,000 for your vehicle, while I have only paid $14,000 for the vehicle. Again, same vehicle, so what's it really matter? If I end up having to pay a quarter per mile for my vehicle because I went 10,000 over, I'm gonna owe $2,500 if I were to turn it in. But again, turning in is not your only option. So you take that $2,500 and put that on top of my $14,000, I'm still, after 3 years, a hell of a lot less invested in my car than you are in yours. Now that puts you into an interesting boat. You've been paying $800 a month for your car. Well, after 3 years, you're gonna not owe a lot on that car. You're gonna owe about $17,000. But if you take the price difference that I have paid and what you have paid, how much can you sell your car for at the end of 3 years? And if we're gonna make this an apples to apples scenario, you will also have put 40,000 miles on your car in a 3-year time frame. And if we do the math of an amortization calculator, after 3 years and 40,000 miles at that 40,600 for 5 years at 5%, you're gonna owe about $17,000 on your car still. Well, because now I have paid almost $12,000 less for this car over that time frame of 3 years and 40,000 miles, you need to sell your car for $17,000 plus the 11 that I'm saving over you, just so you can break even with me on my lease purchase. Can you sell a 3-year-old car with 40,000 miles on it for $28,000? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But in the end, who really won if you can? We both now have paid the exact same amount over 3 years for each one of our cars, but you were paying $800 every month and I was only paying $400 every month. Let's say you and I both can afford, or we're the exact same person. You and I can both afford $800 a month for a car payment, but since I ended up leasing it instead of purchasing it, maybe I took my additional $400 and I ended up investing it. So at the end, I have now paid the exact same amount during that time frame that I have leased this car, but 400 of that money went into a retirement fund or a savings account, etc., and I now have made interest on it, as opposed to if I were to have purchased it and I could only afford $800 a month. I just basically broke even at the end of 3 years and 40,000 miles because I owed 17 on it. The dealership or somebody gave me $28,000 for it. And again, I have no money in the long run. I am dead even at the end of that time frame, as opposed to the leasee who saved money every month, invested that money, or maybe he didn't invest the money, but again, he still wasn't strapped for cash every single month because he was only paying $400 a month, as opposed to you that were paying $800 a month. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, that people always get so frustrated and there's arguments when people post something on a YouTube short or Facebook or a TikTok and they're like, you know, I've purchased this vehicle and I leased it, and people are like, oh my God, you're so stupid, leasing is so dumb. To me, leasing is not dumb because you get the exact same vehicle and you spend a lot less money on it every single month. Why would I want to be strapped for cash when I want that vehicle that may be a really nice, expensive luxury vehicle, etc.? But why would I want to pay $800 a month for it when I can pay $400 a month for it? And again, it all really ends up depending on what type of vehicle it is and what your plans are for it and what you plan on doing when the time comes due that you need to get rid of it. Again, are you gonna make it out okay or not? The only time Aaron and I turned a lease back in, which in my opinion is the worst thing to do, because you do open yourself up to, well, maybe I did put too big of a scratch on it, etc. Maybe the tires are at 50% worn, but I don't know what the dealership or the leasing company is going to charge me to put 4 new tires on it. Maybe before I turn the lease in, it would be more economical for me to buy my own tires and put them on, so the tread wear is at 100% and it's only going to cost me, say, $500. But if the leasing company were to put tires on it, they're going to put some, you know, crazy expensive tire on it. They're going to charge a dealer rate, and putting new tires on it, it's going to cost over $1,000. So I would rather pay the $500 than have the leasing company charge me $1,000. So you do have to look into some things like that. But the only time Aaron and I turned a lease in, and in my opinion, the only time you should turn a lease in, is if your car is basically worth crap. Now again, how do you know a car is worth crap? Well, you have that residual value. When your lease is coming due and you look at the residual value back on your initial paperwork when you bought it, if they say that the car is going to be $25,000 residual and they're not going to negotiate with you and you have to pay $25,000 for that, and the leasing company is going to want that, whether you buy it or trade it in, etc., you have to pay off the loan for the leasing company. If you're looking on dealer lots and your exact same car with the exact same year, make, mileage and everything is only selling for 20 grand, Well, why the hell would you purchase the car or trade it in? You're $5,000 negative equity if you do that, because you can see what they're doing. And the only time, again, that Erin and I turned a lease back in was on her 2014, I think it was, or maybe it was a 15 Mercedes-Benz AMG package, CLA 250. We turned that back in because the residual was about $25,000 and they were selling on dealer lots for about 18. So we would have been $7,000 in the hole if we would have bought that from Mercedes, and that would have just been a stupid purchase. Why would I want to be $7,000 in the hole? And they were not willing to negotiate the residual value. They still wanted their $25,000 for it. So at that point in time, we said, here's the keys. We don't want it anymore. We walked away scot-free. We did not get charged anything because there were no dings, dents, or scratches. We ended up putting 2 brand new front tires on it, so all of the tread wear was perfect. And again, we didn't get charged a single dime to turn that in. But that was not a smart car for us to purchase or to keep or to trade in or to sell to Joe Schmo, because even Joe Schmo would have been like, why would I want this car for 25 when that one over there at the dealership is only 18? But every one of our other cars that we have leased has been working out well for the last like 10 years that we've been doing this. They have kept some of their value and we have traded them all in. I think only my 370Z did I end up purchasing off the leasing company and kept it because it was already turned into a race car. But that was the only vehicle that I didn't lose any money on it. The residual value was below what market value was. So I kept my 370Z, but all of our other leases, we were okay that we actually ended up selling back to a dealership, but as a trade-in. We traded it in and we had positive equity on them, no different than any other used car. And it ended up bringing down the price of our new cars. So we've always come out on head. And again, we've just always been lease people because we want to pay less per month. And we get that nice looking brand new vehicle, and in 3 years we're probably not going to want them anyway, so we always just go ahead and trade them in, or in that one scenario we end up turning them back in, so we get a new car that we don't have to worry about maintenance or anything on, and it's just what we would rather do. Now, the reason why I'm talking about all of this is because Erin and I's leases are coming due. Erin would like to keep her Jeep Grand Cherokee. That's the first time that she's going to end up keeping a lease, and the reason why she wants to do that is because she does not like the look of the brand new Jeep Grand Cherokees, and the residual price on her Jeep Grand Cherokee is under market value. So she's going to purchase it. Her payment is not going to go up that much because the residual value is right about that. Like, you can get it for 5 years, you can get it for whatever amount of interest rate, and she's gonna end up actually not really hurting herself at all, and she would like to keep it. My truck, on the other hand, we've got a problem. The residual on this truck is about $35,000. So whether I get this truck for 5 years or 6 years or 7 years or 8 years, etc., my monthly payment is going to go way up than my lease. I'm only paying about $400 for this thing, and if I purchase this thing and I want to keep it, it's going to probably cost me over $700 a month to keep it. So that sucks for me. But this truck has a lot of value in it, so if I go to trade it in right now, I will actually have some positive equity. The thing that sucks is not only are dealerships still trying to scam everybody and charge $10,000 more per vehicle, etc., and market adjustment over MSRP, etc., but even the manufacturers are screwing us. And the reason why the manufacturers are screwing us is because that truck has not changed at all. Yet the MSRP on that truck in 3 years has gone up $5,000 per year. That is a 2020, and the 23s are over $50,000 base price now. Over a $10,000 adjustment from Ram, even though this truck is still 100% identical and the exact same truck. So that sucks that if I want a brand new one, I've got to pay more, even though it's the exact same thing, but maybe leasing a 2023 that's more expensive than this one, it may end up being the exact same price as if I were to just take out a $35,000 loan plus the tax that I still owe and go ahead and keep this truck. Why would I want a 3-year-old truck with 20,000 miles on it that's a purchase from a bank when I can go lease a brand new one and be the exact same monthly payment? So that's the predicament that I'm in with mine. And don't think it's just Ram, Camaro with GM, the exact same thing. My ZL1 1LE, just from one year to the next, it also went up $5,000 per year. So if that car was ready to be turned in, or if it was leased, etc., I would want the exact same car. Yeah, I would still have to pay over $5,000 more for it just from one year, because all of the manufacturers are also screwing everybody by increasing their prices, along with the dealerships also putting those market adjustment values on everything. So no matter what, in America right now, if you want a new vehicle, you're screwed one way or another. And again, that's on the interest rates, that's on the purchasing of the cars, that's on the dealership screwing you over. So no matter what, not a great time to buy. So hopefully you guys learned a little bit from that video. Hopefully, if you guys got any questions, just let me know. But since Erin is keeping her car, she wants to do some stuff to it. So we'll have some future videos as Erin modifies her Jeep Grand Cherokee. Maybe in a couple weeks, you'll be seeing a brand new truck in my driveway. And no, we are not selling the ZL1 1LE. This is probably going to stay with us for many, many years to come, because it's going to continue to be our track car. And maybe even one day, actually Erin even asked me the other day, when are we going to turn this thing into a race car? And I was like, you're joking, right? It's a year old and you want me to gut the interior of this thing and basically destroy that interior like anyone really wants to purchase factory interior and roll cage it and everything else? Like, you're crazy, woman. Like, I thought I was the bad one. You're the bad one. But regardless of what we end up doing with the ZL1 is going to stay in our possession. So I'll let you guys know future modifications that we're going to do to that. But again, this video, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I know everybody's situation is going to be different, whether you want to pay cash for a car, which I do not recommend, because I think investing your cash as opposed to throwing it down on a vehicle is way smarter of an investment. If you want to get a bank loan, get a bank loan. If you want to lease it because of your situation, I guarantee it'll be okay. Don't freak out as much as people have told you that leasing is bad. It can work out very, very well, and it has always worked out well for Erin and I. Again, except that Mercedes that we had, and it was a simple, here's the keys, we turned it back in, and we took care of the car. We didn't get screwed. But I promise you, it'll be okay in the end. Again, if you guys got anything to say, message us down below. Hit us up on Instagram at NeckofTheWoods 2020 if you got anything to say, or you need to personal message us. And again, we'll see you guys back in a little bit when we figure out what we're gonna do with these cars. So until then, take care.